Hello and welcome to Virginia Bakes. I'm Virginia. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make an all butter pie crust. This will be a recipe that I refer to often in the live streams. In fact, the one coming up this week will be using this pie crust. So I wanted to dedicate a whole entire video just to the pie crust. Then that way we can, in the future, anytime I need a pie crust, instead of having to add that step into the live stream, which is a little time consuming to do that every time, I can just point you towards this one. And then you can have your pie crust ready to go before the stream. All right, so to get started, we are going to switch to the overhead. Our wet ingredients, we have a tablespoon of vinegar, okay? To that, I'm going to add a half a cup of water, which is 118 grams. Now this is specifically ice water. And in order to this is going to help keep our butter from melting into the flour. We're going to try to keep everything as cold as we can. So I'm going to go ahead and measure this out and stick it in the fridge to keep it cold. So 100 and, what did I say, 18? Yes. 100 and... I don't want to go over because I will not be able to pull out water without pulling out vinegar as well. So I'm going to be very careful. 17, 18, 118. Okay, so I can set that aside. And then I'm going to put this in the fridge real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, now our next step is to whisk together the dry ingredients. So we have here 313 grams of all-purpose flour. That is 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. And to that, I'm going to add a tablespoon of sugar, a teaspoon of salt. Look at me pre-measuring things. And a teaspoon of baking powder. A little bit stuck at the bottom. Okay. Then we're going to whisk that together to make sure everything's distributed. That's great. And that's it, ready to move on. The next thing we're gonna do is grab our butter pats out of the fridge. I'm keeping them cold. We want things cold if possible, at all possible. And I'm gonna be using this here pastry cutter to cut the butter into the flour. So let me grab that. You might, if you've seen it, this is the same method I used from the 2 buttery biscuits recipe. It helps keep the butter from melting into the flour. That will mean that we'll have butter chunks throughout our crust, and then when it's cooking, those butter chunks will melt, creating steam pockets, and then those steam pockets are what's going to create the flaky layers in our crust at the end. So all we do now is we just smush this in. We are looking for pea-sized bits of butter throughout. And you can have larger chunks and you can have smaller chunks, but basically pea-sized. Maybe you have a black bean-sized chunk or an English pea-sized chunk instead of a green pea. No, our green peas, I don't eat peas. Never liked them as a kid. Remember one time, it was my sister Mary's birthday. She's younger than me, always has been, always will be. And we had peas for dinner, and I wouldn't eat them, sitting at the table, and of course couldn't get up until I cleaned my plate, sort of a household. And I certainly wasn't going to get to have any birthday cake if I didn't eat my peas. So I recalled seeing my mom take like Tylenol or whatever, where she would put a pill on her tongue and then swallow it with water. And I'm like, I wonder if I could do that. I'm maybe 6. I wonder if I could do that with peas. And I gave it a try, and it worked. It had a little bit of a pea taste in my mouth, but I didn't have to feel the squishiness of it, and I just swallowed it right down with some water. And so I continued eating 1 pea at a time with water, and until I ate the peas on my plate, and I got to have my cake. Like, I will do just about anything for chocolate. Chocolate cake, yes please. So I got to where I could eat my pile of peas for the next, all my childhood, for the rest of the time after that. I could eat a whole fork full of peas at one time and swallow them with water. So weird how problem solving we can be when there's a prize at the end we want. Okay, so you can see now we've got, it's kind of the consistency, like the floury bits are the kind of the consistency of like a sand. And then you can see all of the butter chunks still in here, getting smaller and smaller. There's more and more of them. A couple of big ones left. I'm going to try to get those. Make sure we don't have anything too giant in here. But then I also definitely want chunks still, so that one's maybe a little too big. Okay, I think I'm happy with this. As I continue to cut the butter in. Okay, I'm gonna stop now. We're good. Moving on. All right, so now I'm going to get that cold water vinegar mixture. No, I did it. I didn't even think about it. I just started cutting again. It is kind of a nice, satisfying activity, I guess you could say. Let your mind wander, cut the butter in. All right, and it probably would behoove me to have a spatula. So let's grab one. Okay. We are going to start by adding about half of this water mixture. We're just going to drizzle it around, spread it out. About half of it. It looks halfish. Stir this up, try to get everything evenly moistened. You're welcome. It will not come together in the bowl. We're going to do that on the surface, as is usual, this sort of thing, just like the biscuits. Like, we're going to turn it out in a moment and mush it all together. Right now, I'm going to try to spread out that moisture, and it's even more sandy. If you can see that, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and risk adding some more water. There's a way to kind of test it. Let me stir this up and then we'll test it. Basically what you're going to do is take a little bit of it, smush it together between your fingers and see if it holds. And if it does, then it should hold when you've turned it onto the surface, right? Let's try it. I don't know how well you can see that. It's not going to focus, is it? The limitations of my current technology. You can see it does come together. So I think maybe it could use a smidge more. How much have we got left? I'm going to do half of what's left. And then we'll call it quits. Okay. Mix that in. Try to get it evenly moisturized. Is that better than moistened? Okay, then I'm going to turn this out onto the counter, which is clean. Clean, dry, no flour. We don't need to flour the counter for this. And look, I want all that butter off of the spatula. So I'm going to use my pinch scraper to get it. Okay, so now the step is to just basically kind of gently knead this and mush it all together into one cohesive disc. Well, we're going to make 2 discs, but you understand. You can see, I hope you can see the butter chunks throughout our pie crust here. Let's get this butter off of there. No butter left behind. Okay, don't want to work it too much because we'll do some more of that when we roll it out for whatever recipe we're going to use it for. So at this point, I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and cut it in half. I could be, no, I'm not going to, it's like I could weigh it, but no, I won't. I won't do that to you. And then we're going to form this into 2 discs of about 1 inch thickness. And this gives us 2 9-inch pie crusts. So what you could do, like, or 1 double pie crust, like if you're baking a pie that requires a top as well. There are times, like at Thanksgiving, the pecan pie that I make, it's kind of a deep dish pecan pie. So when I do this, I split it into maybe like 2/3 and 1/3, and I use the 2/3 for the deep dish part, and I use the 1/3 for like decorating the outside, the crust. Okay, we're done. We have got 2 9-inch pie crusts. What we would do now is, and what I will do now, is wrap these in saran wrap and stick them in the fridge for at least an hour before I want to roll them out and use them, so that everything rests and the moisture really permeates all that flour. After that, we can use it. You can also, they'll last in the fridge up to like 3 days, wrapped really well, or in the freezer for a month. So you can do this ahead of time for the holiday season, for like Thanksgiving and stuff. It's definitely a great do-ahead kind of a recipe. So that's it, all butter pie crust. We'll be using this on the upcoming apple frangipane galette. So I hope you stick around and watch that when it's ready. And yeah, that's it. If you've enjoyed this or if you found this helpful, please give the video a like and consider subscribing so you can keep up with all of the fun baking that we do here at Virginia Bakes. Have a great day, everybody.